All right, guys, the one and only James Williams, Dog Waters, I'm back, and we're talking drones. Let's be clear. Again, we're going to start off with the fact that these are not UFOs. They are drones. And I want to address a few things. The number one thing that I need everyone to understand is that when we researched this and we went step by step, we noticed that when we found the narrative of these drones, we know that it was a higher high, higher low algorithmic narrative. And I said, when I showed you guys the narrative a couple of videos ago, that you notice that it goes up in interest, it drops down. It goes up in interest, it drops down. And in each step of creating this narrative, you need something new to get people's attention. We saw yesterday where the video came out from the guy who claimed that he was a contractor that built drones and that they were sniffing out nuclear substances. And we see that right after he came out and said that, supporting evidence was revealed to you in a sequential order. So a guy comes out and says that, oh, these drones are sniffing dirty bombs. By the way, let's be clear. Looking back at it in retrospect now, he was giving himself a commercial. If you go watch the video, he talks about the drones. He moves out the way so you can see his drone. Show his company name on the drone. He talks about it some more, moves out of the way so you can see the drone. People were saying that I was splitting hairs because something wasn't right with that. But the truth is about splitting hairs. This is why people end up being lied to. This is how people can come to believe that Kamala Harris was the most popular presidential candidate in the history of presidential candidates, because they didn't take any time to sit still and think about anything. They just take the narrative that's presented to them. Now, remember, this is a guy who says, my best guess is this is what's going on. And then his guess was taken and spread around like it was truth and reality. And then here comes this thing about the missing nuclear material, which we'll take a look at and we'll see. And I'll show you something. But when narratives are being created, because all this is a narrative that's being created to capture the attention of the American people. When narratives are being creative to create false flags and do different things, it has to be sequential. Now, here's the thing. The average U.S. citizen is not paying attention to this. You are paying attention to this because you neglect one simple fact. The simple thing that you neglect is that social media is based on curation. So if I was to go pick up my wife's phone and go through her social media, it ain't going to show nothing about the drones. Now, there may be something pushed. A push notification is a notification from a news outlet that's pushed through your phone. So normally when you pick up your phone like this, you'll see that there's news on your phone that is a push notification. They call it a push for a reason because it's being pushed out. But if your social media is not curated towards weird, strange, conspiracy theory, things of that nature, then you're not getting fed this. As ample evidence, a friend of mine just called me and said, hey, bro, I didn't know they had something going on with drones until I saw your Facebook post. What's going on with the drones? Because his feeds are not curated towards that stuff. His feeds are curated towards martial arts and all the rest of these things. So in order for something to be a part of the collective consciousness of the American people, it would have to invade a space to where everybody's paying attention to it. That's the first thing. Now, here's the trap. I said yesterday that they're pimping you. And I'm going to say it again. They're pimping you. And if you slow down and think for a second, you'll realize how you're being pimped. Everything that the deep state tried to do was destroyed by people who they proclaim to be conspiracy theorists. So whether we were talking about safe and effectiveness of certain things, they called it conspiracy theory. The conspiracy theorists were correct. So the mainstream media, let's just take January 6th. Everybody said January 6th, there were feds at January 6th protests. It came out just recently in the report that there were 23 CIs, confidential informants. There's a difference between a federal agent, confidential informants that were there. They talk about the number of confidential informants. They didn't tell you how many federal agents were in the rallies. They said it was 23 confidential informants. Anybody who knows anything about the streets, you know a CI does dirty work for them and does little foolishness, right? So the conspiracy theorists were true. They told the truth, and the truth has been revealed. They flipped the narrative and done a judo move on you. So now they're taking that same conspiracy theorist energy and making you make their thing true. And so when it's all said and done, they'll point back to you, the conspiracy theorists, and say it's credible because you guys have always had credible information. So when they say it's UFOs, when they say it's drones, when you say it's a nuclear bomb, a dirty bomb, they are using you now. So now you have become, if you're not careful, now you, who is the new mainstream media, now you are being, not taking over. You're being hijacked, and that's not the word I'm looking for. You're being hijacked. And if you're not careful in your analysis of things, the bigger you are, the more prominent of a voice you are, the more they're going to be able to use you because you don't have a system of vetting what you say, how you say it, or what's going on. Because you just running with the narrative because, hey, it's going to get clicks and it's going to get views. So let's be clear. Now, how do we know it's the government? Because Donald Trump is telling you the government knows what's going on. Because yesterday we came out and we realized that one of the senators came out and said, no, these drones are not breaking any laws. If we enact the laws on the books and make them and change the law to where they can't do this, then we'll see how serious they are about what they're doing. Meaning that whoever this is not breaking any law, so therefore they're not technically not doing anything wrong, they're just causing a panic. So if you break down the basis of this psychological operation, and this is how you know without a doubt it's a psyop, they're working within the boundaries of the law so that they can't be stopped. Now somebody will say, well, the UFOs or the drones are chasing UAPs. Don't worry about that. So this is where the psyop comes in. Of course, there's things that's been going on in the sky for a long time that are unexplained. That's verifiable. We know it to be true. But this is a gelling of two different narratives. This is using the communities that are interested in UFOs, UAPs, strange phenomenon in the skies, and piggybacking on that with their drones. So you, who are not paying attention, you push this forward, destroy that field in the process, and destroy all the years of research that those people have done in the process, but you propel their narrative forward. They hijacked it, the narrative of UFOs and UAPs. And so now the cover for their operation is the people like, no, these aren't drones. These are UFOs. They're doing this. No, bitch, it's drones. And as long as you keep running with, oh, they're UFOs, they're this, you're giving them cover. Now, watch this. Let's see what Donald Trump has to say, first of all. And then we're going to go down a rabbit hole.
Yeah. Good to see you.
Can you comment on the drones that are flying around New Jersey and ports? It seems like the American people have a big
Look at his body language. Huh. Shaking his head like this is a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Can you comment on the drones that are flying around New Jersey and ports? It seems like the American people have a big disconnect.
The government knows what is happening. Look, our military knows where they took off from. If it's a garage, they can go right into that garage. They know where it came from and where it went. And for some reason, they don't want to comment. And I think they'd be better off saying what it is. Our military knows and our president knows. And for some reason, they want to keep people in suspense. I can't imagine it's the enemy, because if it was the enemy, they'd blast it out. Even if they were late, they'd blast it. Something strange is going on. For some reason, they don't want to tell the people, and they should, because the people are really, I mean, they happen to be over Bedminster.
Will you shoot them down?
They're very close to Bedminster. I think maybe I won't spend the weekend in Bedminster. I've decided to cancel my trip.
Have you received an intelligence briefing on the drones?
I don't want to comment on that.
Have you been
do you have any reason to think they're...
Now, I said in a previous video, I said without a doubt, know that Donald Trump has received intelligence briefings on the drones because he's the president-elect. So let's stick with the narrative of this. Now, one of the other things that you need to see. Let's look at his response to the drone, and let's look at Elon Musk's response. So he came out and he did a meme about Chris Christie. I probably should have pulled this up prior to it. All right, so this is how he trolls Chris Christie as it pertains to the drones. Trump trolls Chris Christie and posts this: "We will never get more entertaining anti-deep state president like this one ever again." All right, so what is he signaling when he sends this post, when he posts this image? What does that say to you? What it says to me is, man, y'all playing games. Quit playing these stupid-ass games. Now watch this. Let's see what Elon Musk tweeted at Elon Musk. Did it get removed? New Jersey Guide to Aircraft Identification. Drone. Iranian mothership. So what we're seeing is mocking happening. There was another one where he posted an AI image of an Iranian prince flying on a drone. What we're seeing from them is mocking of the narrative. And what's significant about the fact that it's being mocked is, if you understand, mocking as a form of attack, mocking is done to discredit something. So the narrative is there. They mock the narrative. So the initial reaction is to go out and discredit it. Even the look on his face just now, Donald Trump's look was like these people are, it was like, these bitches are stupid. They're stupid. And they play too many games. This is how you know it's a deep state. Now, I said the other day that we were going to look to see what Alex Jones' reaction to this was. And I'm going to stop right here and I'm going to say this. Every time I talk about Alex Jones, somebody comes and they says, well, Alex Jones is controlled opposition. That's the dumbest, most ignorant, nonsensical statement that you could ever make. Understand, when you say that, you sound crazy, and I'll explain to you why. Controlled opposition is a person that's put in place, and that controlled opposition maintains their spot so that they can be a counter narrative to your narrative. But it's not so counter to your narrative that is destructive to you. So controlled opposition sits there and says, well, you know, the deep state is trying to control opposition would be, for example, let's take the 300,000 missing children. Controlled opposition would have to talk about 300,000 missing children, but they would mention it, and that would be it. That's it. They're just a placeholder. For somebody to say that Alex Jones is controlled opposition when they've sued him into oblivion, when he's been right about everything from the very beginning, when Owen Schroyer was imprisoned, when he got the first person to get the treatment that Donald Trump got was Alex Jones. When they go after you the way they went after Alex Jones, that's not controlled opposition. That means you are a threat to the system, the same way they went after Donald Trump. So if your logic is Alex Jones is controlled opposition, then your logic would have to be that Donald Trump is controlled opposition. And if your logic is that Alex Jones and Donald Trump are controlled opposition, then I'm sorry. You are retarded. You're slow, in the truest sense of the word. You don't do what's done to these men and try to literally decimate their whole lives if you control them. The key word to controlled opposition is controlled. And that's a big part of the problem that we face in America. We have the left who's just way out there, don't understand what a man and what a woman is. Then you have segments of the right who kind of get it. Then you have this people that are in the middle that they call themselves conspiracy theorists and they're truth seekers and searchers of truth. But when you ask them for supporting evidence about what they say, it's because they heard this or they saw a video about it. But they don't apply any logic to it because nobody's ever tried to destroy them. In no area of their life have they ever come against real opposition where someone or a system or a group of people tried to destroy them. You know a man by his enemies. You know the caliber of a man by his enemies. In the case of Alex Jones and Donald Trump, their enemies are the enemies of the entire damn world. Their enemies are the enemies of humanity. Therefore, they are not controlled opposition. I'm sorry. I mean, that's the dumbest, most stupid thing I've ever heard. And I do mean that dumb, stupid, ignorant. To the textbook definition of the word. I'm not calling you that. I did call you retarded, and I do believe you got to be slow not to get this. But that's dumb, stupid, and ignorant to even let that come out of your mouth. So I might as well call you all those things, but I'm definitely calling you slow, retarded. Sorry. This is common sense 101. I mean, it really is. Now, we have this guy come out and say they're sniffing for nuclear bombs or nuclear material. Let's go back. This comes from Alex Jones's website, the one who everybody says is controlled opposition. So the controlled opposition posts the link to the report of the missing nuclear material. So watch this. Event notification report, December 13, 2024. All right, so let's go through the report about the missing nuclear material. Somebody else has probably covered this, but they're not going to cover it from the perspective I covered. U.S. Nuclear Regulation Commission's Operations Center, event reports from 12/12 to 12/13. All right, event numbers. New Jersey Radiation Protocol and Prevention Program. License, NAHA's Cancer Center. What does NAHA mean? NASHA. I want to see what this means real quick. NASHA. Protection deity of Chinese folk religion. It's a protection deity in Chinese, Buddhism, Confucianism, Taoism, official marshal of the center altar. Happiness, purity, honesty, innocence, success. So a company named after a Chinese deity that is about success, happiness, purity, and honesty. All right. So this is the Cancer Center, Chinese connection, but I mean spiritual connection. All right, so watch. License number 4646826. Notified by Richard Peros, OPS officer John, I don't know how to pronounce that. Emergency class, non-emergency 10 CFR section agreement state. Event date 12/2/2024. So this event where this nuclear material went missing happened on 12/2. Let's go. All right. This material event contains less than Cat 3 level of radiation material. Sources that are less than IAE agency category 3 sources are either sources that are very unlikely to cause permanent injury to individuals or contain a very small amount of radioactive material that would not cause any permanent damage. Some of these sources, such as moisture density gauges or thickness gauges that are category 4, the amount of unshielded radioactive material, if not safely managed or securely protected, could possibly, although it's unlikely, temporarily injure someone who handled it or were otherwise in contact with it, who were close to it for a period of many weeks. For additional information, go to this website. So they lay out that the missing nuclear material that people are talking about is not necessarily dangerous. But from a psychological operation standpoint, if you're the deep state and you want to create a frenzy, you don't need to have nothing dangerous. You just need to have some missing material to point to. And then it goes into the public's sphere. Remember, it's a narrative. It's a narrative created to achieve a certain result. But at the same time, when we got a new incoming administration coming in, that ain't about to play no games. You don't have the leeway to wild out. So now we see the forces that be are staying within the confined box of what they're doing. We had the guy come out yesterday and he says, listen, these drones are actually following rules and regulations. You guys couldn't see the whole report. I apologize. Let me try and make this smaller so you can see it. I'll make myself smaller. That'd be, and I'll redo this so you can see it. Give me a second. That's better. Let me do this again, just in case. All right. This material event contains less than Cat 3 level of radioactive material. Sources that are less than an IAE Cat 3 category 3 sources, are either sources that are unlikely to cause permanent injury to an individual or contain very small amounts of radioactive material that could not cause any permanent injury. Some of these sources, such as moisture density gauges, so there's a moisture density gauge, or thickness gauges that are category 4, the amount of unshielded radioactive material, if not safely managed or securely protected, could possibly, although it is unlikely, temporarily injure someone who handled it or were otherwise in contact with it or were close to it for a period of many weeks. For additional information, go to this website. Agreement state, NJ Radport REL program. Another event happened on the 5th. So we have one event that happened on the 2nd of December where a category 3 was taken. We have another event on the 5th where another portion was taken. So the following information was provided by the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection via email. On December 5th, the licensee became aware of a shutter that could not fully close, but was able to return to the fully open operative position. The shutter failure was identified while performing a routine 6-month fixed gauge shutter check. The fixed gauge is located 8 feet above a walking platform, which is only accessible to licensed staff via ladder, scaffolding, or other means. No members of the public have access to this location. The shutter is currently in its normal open position. No maintenance activities were scheduled, which will require closure of the shutter. The licensee has contracted with the manufacturer and has scheduled them to assess the situation and make any necessary repairs. The shutter holder contains CS137 sealed source model A2102 with maximum activity of 300 MCI. The event is reportable under 10 CFR 330.5B NJAC 728-51.1. Equipment information, manufacturer, Vega Americas. All right. Event number 57456. Event number 7545. So these are different events. Event number 757457. Illinois Emergency Management Agency. Non-emergency 10 CFR. Agreement state. Report stuck sources. On December 5th, 1.5 MCI 60 CO sources were removed from their casting molds for an outage and placed in shield source holders. At the time, it was discovered that one source could not be fully placed into its shield configuration. The cause was believed to be a bin or still prohibit the source from being fully inserted. The active portion of the source was shielded, but the inactive portion extended beyond the shutter. It was also discovered that the shutter for the second source was inoperable. The sources were orientated to minimize exposure rates and secured the licensee's source storage room and secured in the licensee's storage room exposure rates. So this is one where there was an exposure, but nothing was stolen. So right now, the only one where something is missing is this one. Event number 57455. Let's just make sure there's no other events where anything is missing. So that one was stored. This one was stored. Shutter is currently open. No maintenance activity or schedule will require the close of the shutter. The license contact the manufacturer and has scheduled to assess the situation and make necessary repairs. The shutter holder contains this sealed source with maximum. So this one, it's a malfunction. This one, there are no anticipated exposures in excess of regulatory limits as a result of the incident. So that was exposure report. Brunswick, North Carolina, Illinois. All right, Illinois. So here's what we're working with from the report. This is what's been missing. And it was lost in transit on the 2nd of December. So a licensee reported to NJDEP on November 3rd that a GE68 pin source that was sent for disposal has been lost in transit. This source is an Eckert Ziegler model HEGL032 with current approximate activity of 0.02 MCI. The shipping container arrived at its destination damaged and empty. The licensee has filed a claim with the shipper. The source is not located within 30 days. The licensee will follow up with a full written report, the root cause, of corrective actions. All right, so everybody's saying that nuclear material is gone missing. It's true that there's some nuclear material that's went missing. But what the hell is this nuclear material? Right now they're telling us this event contains less than Cat 3 level radioactive material. So let's go here. Let's actually use some damn common sense. Let's go to ChatGTP and let's talk about, I don't know about nuclear material. I don't know about you. Do you know anything about nuclear material? No, I don't. So let's go find out about the nuclear material. Come on, reload, quit playing. If you don't act right, I'm gonna go to Gronk. I'm gonna break up with you. All right, so here we go. Let's take the event notification and let's find out what it is. Let's take this whole paragraph. The licensee reported this, and this is the current approximate activity of it, 0.267 MCI. All right. So, hey, I'm going to say, listen, I want to know if this can be used in a dirty bomb and how effective would it be? The GE68 germanium 68 pin source described in your report has limited potential for use in a dirty bomb. And here's the analysis of the characteristics and its effectiveness. The type of radiation, GE68, is a radioactive isotope that decays to Ga68, gallium-68, through beta decay. So there's beta, there's gamma. So yeah, this is a very low, if I'm not mistaken, beta, gamma. This is very low level of radiation. And Ga68 emits positrons, and gamma rays. Half-life of GA68 has a half-life of approximately 271 days. The activity you mentioned is 0.267 millicuries, which is relatively low level of radioactivity. Primary use of GE68 source are typically used for calibrated purposes and for positron emissions, tomography, PET scanners. What? Wait. You mean to scan actual dogs and cats as pets? Okay, I'm about to say no. Okay. In the context stands for positron emissions tomography, not pets like dogs and cats. Thank you. What is a PET? A medical imaging. PET is a typical medical imaging used primarily to observe metabolic processes. Patients are injected with radioactive tracers, such as one containing gallium that emits positrons. When these positrons interact with electrons in the body, they produce gamma rays, which the PET scanner detects and creates detailed images. Applications: PET scanners are commonly used to detecting cancers, brain activity, and assess heart function. So what we have missing is what's used when you go get a heart check. When you get your heart checked, they inject you with this radioactive material. It goes into your body. It checks your heart, and they can see how the blood is flowing through your heart. But this shit that everybody's talking about right now is, oh, nuclear material is missing for a dirty bomb. This is what I mean by nobody wanting to actually do any damn research. But James Williams, the St. ambassador, is the crazy one. But you know what? This is why I say they play everybody. Because when you understand the malleable nature of the human mind, it only has to be fractional truth if you have people emotionally charged. So the whole UF drone thing is to create fear. If you can get people in the context of fear and confusion, you could drop this in there. So when the dude says they're searching for radioactive material, everybody's like, yeah, you know, a source told him, he said they're searching for radioactive material. Then people go looking for missing radioactive material and say, yeah, there's radioactive material missing. They pull up the report, and it's from a PET scan to see if you have cancers, to check your brain activity and assessing heart function. Now let's go back up and see what it says about a dirty bomb. All right, because it may be effective. A dirty bomb or a radiological dispersal device combines radioactive materials with conventional explosives to spread contamination. The effectiveness of such a device depends on the quantity of radioactive material and the nature of its emissions. Low radioactive doses. So this is assessing the effective nature of this based on the dose that they say is missing. With an activity of 0.267 MCI, about 9.9 MBQ, this source contains a very small quantity of radioactivity. For comparison, medical radiotherapy sources or industrial gauges use higher such levels of activity. Limited dispersal impact. The low level of radioactivity means it would be difficult to cause widespread contamination or significant harm, even if dispersed by an explosive. Radiation penetration. GE68 primarily emits gamma rays and beta particles, but the radiation is not highly penetrating and would not spread effectively over large distances. Of course, it don't kill you because they put the shit in your body to check your body. Do you see what the point I'm trying to make? Watch this. Let's just go back to the report. Let's just go back to the report that's there. And let's see. So that's what's missing. But let's just go grab another one of these. All right, let's see. The shutter holder contains a CS137 seal source with activity up to 300 MCI. Watch this. So we're going to take this one. Come back. Let's say this was the missing material. how effective would, this is at 300 MCI, this be, excuse me, in context of a dirty bomb? 300 MCI, just so we have a juxtaposition, just so we'll have, context. 0.2671 versus 300. And understand, 0.25, if it was 0.25, it would take 4 of these things to make actually 1, right? So it's 4 for 1. So you need a shitload more in order to even get to 300, right? Conclusion, a 300 MCI CS 137 source could be moderately effective in a dirty bomb due to its penetration gamma radiation, its potential for contaminating a large area, and a long-lasting nature of the isotope. So, now if this one went missing, this would be a problem. All right, CS 137 is cesium 137 seal source with them. Okay. The type of radiation, CS-137, is beta-emitting radioactive isotope that decays into a Ba-137, a barium-137M, which emits gamma rays with an energy level of 660 keV. Half-life. The half-life of CS-137 is 30.17 years, making it long-lasting and suitable for long-term contamination. At 300 millicuries, this source has activity of about 11.1 giga beta curals. This is a much higher level of radioactivity compared to the CE68 source. A dirty bomb or a radiological RDD uses conventional explosives to spread radioactive material. The effectiveness of such a device depends on the amount of radioactive material. The 300 MCI is substantial for dispersal purposes. Radiation penetration. Gamma rays from CS-137 can travel significant distance, tens of meters, and penetrate materials, increasing the potential of harm. Contamination risk. The CS-137 is water soluble and can contaminate soil, water, and building sources. Cleanup after dispersal event would be expensive and time consuming. Health effects. External exposure, high levels of CS-137 gamma radiation can cause acute radiation sickness. Internal contamination. If inhaled or ingested, CS-137 can accumulate in the body and increase cancer risk. All right, so let's ask the next logical question. What is the maximum? No, we can't really ask it the maximum. What is the, hypothetically is a better question. Hypothetically, what is the distance? Yeah, that's what I'm looking. Is the distance of the fallout of such a device with only that one source in feet? And what materials would it penetrate? i.e., in a scenario, S-E-C-E-N-A-R-O, where a car explodes with it inside, would it go 100 feet, 100 yards, 1,000 yards? Question mark. In a hypothetical scenario where 300 MCI CS-137 sources disperse via explosion, such as a car bomb, the fallout and penetration distance depends on several factors. Here's how to break down what to expect. The fallout refers to the spread of radioactive particles after detonation. For a 300 MCI source, the dispersal pattern depends on the size and effectiveness of the explosion, weather conditions, wind speed, in the form of radioactive material. Imminent fallout between 100 and 300 feet. Extended fallout between 300 and 500 yards. Maximum fallout up to a mile. In the case with strong winds, if the material is very fine, dust-like particles could travel up to a mile or more through concentrations, though concentrations would decrease significantly with distance. Penetration of materials. The radiation from this consists of gamma rays and beta particles. The gamma rays of CS-137 are highly penetrating and can travel through various materials. Air, concrete. Gamma rays can travel up to 500 feet through air. Concrete, a thickness of 2 to 3 inches of concrete will reduce gamma radiation by about 50%. Steel, about 0.5 inch of steel will reduce gamma radiation by approximately 50%. Lead, about 2.25 inch of lead provides significant shielding, including gamma radiation about 50%. Beta particle penetration. Beta particles have limited penetration. They can be stopped by a few millimeters of aluminum or plastic. Beta radiation is likely to penetrate through car doors or building walls. Car explosion scenario: if 300 MCI CS-137 source is inside a car that explodes, immediate fallout, most radioactive material will likely fall within 100 to 300 feet. Dispersal beyond 300 feet, depending on the force of the explosion and wind conditions. Smaller particles could reach 300 to 500 yards. Gamma radiation could penetrate walls, vehicles, and thin materials within a range of up to 500 feet with the explosion site. Contamination factors: surface contamination, cleanup challenges. So, what would be the economic effects of such an explosion? Is it enough for world markets to react? Which I'm assuming it is. Bro, stop calling me right now, dog. Okay, so this is a localized event. And this is with 300. Remember, guys, I'm going down a rabbit hole if we had 300. I think it's 300 MCI. So watch when I bring it down. All right, now. What was this? 300 MCI, right? And so this is what it says the effects will be. We'll just go over them. Localized disruptions, evacuations, closures, cleanups, right? Tourism decline, consumer spending will go down, broader national impacts, sector-specific effects, transportation and logistics, real estate, insurance claims, financial markets impact. Short-term market volatility is likely, particularly in sectors like travel, insurance, or real estate. Investor sentiment, global market effects, limited global impact. Key factors that could amplify global reaction: high-profile location, attacking a major financial area like Wall Street. That's what I was thinking. Media amplification, widespread media coverage, and sensationalism could exacerbate market reactions. Historical comparisons. 9/11 attack. Global markets were saw significant declines, but it was due to massive scale, fatalities, and impact on global confidence. Goiânia event in 1987 in Brazil. CS-137 contaminated event led to localized economic damage, but no global market reaction. Fukushima event. Global markets were impacted because it involved a nuclear reactor meltdown. All right, now, if the bomb was 0.2651, what did we call it? MCIs? MCI. How would that affect things? So what was stolen was 1,000 times less radioactive than what we were talking about. Immediate fallout rain, most radioactive material will fall within a few feet or tens of feet of the explosion site due to small quantity of radioactive material, radioactive exposure, gamma radiation, the radiation emitted from such a low activity source. The radiation emitted from such a low activity source would be minimum. Gamma rays from 0.2651 MCI source would not pose a significant risk beyond a few feet. Health risk, the level of radiation exposed in such small dose would be negligible. Economic impact, cleanup efforts would be straightforward, inexpensive compared to higher activity rates. Public reaction, panic, and fear, even with the minimal actual risk. The term dirty bomb could cause public anxiety and temporary disruption. Once authorities clarify the low level of contamination, the fear will likely subside quickly. Financial markets are unlikely to react to an event involving such small radioactive source, no significant event on global or national scale. Watch this. So if we are smooth criminals and we're in the evil mind state and we're trying to do a hoax and we're trying to manipulate markets and we're trying to get a reaction, which is what we see them building up to, this is perfect because you have people in a frenzy. You have a media that will say, oh, there was a dirty bomb. It was a dirty bomb. But it ain't about to be nothing really effective. But it'll create a narrative. So it goes back to my original argument about sensationalism. But we are the ones that are sensationalizing things. Now the media isn't because they did a judo move, or really it's an aikido move, and they flipped your dumb ass. You heard me? And that's what it is. I'm done for that video. I done showed you what it is. According to what's being said, we looked at what's being said and what the outcome of it is. Point blank, period. And we just going to keep it moving, man. Deuces.